Hi everyone. Very good evening. So, 6 months to IPMAT Indore, guys. I am sure the heartbeat have started. When you saw the message that 6 months to IPMAT Indore, I am sure your heartbeat would have started, beating faster. Yeah. Okay. So let's get started with the agenda of the today's session. So I'll take you through the paper pattern. Obviously, we'll quickly run through the paper pattern. Most importantly, we'll deep dive into the cutoff, how the cutoffs gets captured. How the cutoffs are identified, and what is the ATS score, and what the strategy should be to have the better ATS score. And I'm not talking about the better score. I am talking about the better ATS score. And at the end, I will also take you through the what is the paper pattern. Okay, so let's start with the agenda.
To book a free one-on-one IPM BBA counseling online or at any IMS center, check out the link in the description box or the pinned comment below.
Okay, so I am sure everyone knows what is the exam date. It's 4th of May, and the paper pattern over the last 3 years it has remained same. In the COVID years, it was different, but otherwise the paper pattern has remained same. So not talking more about paper pattern. If we look at the cutoff, so this is the general category cutoff. If all of you want to check the what is the cutoff of for the different category, maybe you can check that on the grad school zone. It will give you the cutoff of all the category, whether it is OBC, SC, ST, NT, all the category, the cutoff would be visible there. Okay, I've just shared the screen, but let's deep dive into the cutoff of the three section that we already have in IPMAT and for the general category. So if you look at from 2023 to 2025, for the short answer category, the cutoff was 12, and then it suddenly went up to 24. If you look at MCQ, it is constantly decreasing from 39 to 35 to 28. I remember last few months back when I took the online sessions, one student said, "Sir, will the cutoff will again go down by 4 to 5 marks because that's the trend in MCQ section?" You never know. Cutoff can also go up to 40, 42, 43, depending upon it. It all depends upon, guys, what is the level of difficulty of the paper in that particular year. Okay. And if you look at the VA section in 2022, it was 112 marks. Then it went up to 125, and then it is 113 and 112. This has been the cutoff of VA section. So you can safely say that it's around 112 to 115 odd mark is been the cutoff of the VA section. Now, the most important thing. If you deep dive into the figure out what was the level of difficulty of the 3 year QA section and VA section, you will realize that the QA section, short answer section in 2023 was not very difficult. Okay, it was difficult, but not very difficult that the cutoff would have gone drastically down to 12. If you look at the paper of 2023 and 24, and if you look at that, there were questions in 23 and 24 which were doable. However, a lot of students panic on the day of exam because it was the first time in short answer section was that difficult, and hence students were not able to cope up. But in 2024, because in 2023 the paper essay section was slightly difficult, the mock papers were aligned in that way, and students were much better prepared, the cutoff went up to 24. Okay, if the 2024 paper would have been asked in 23, probably the cutoff would have been 16 marks, not more than that. Since the student was better prepared, I would say the cutoff went to 24. In fact, in short answer for this year, the cutoff was predicted to be around 20, but it went up to 24 again for the fact that students are much better prepared. And if you look at the trend of overall mark that students are scoring, the overall total score, it has been on the upward swing. If I look at 2023-22 data, if I look at 23 data, we never used to find so many students scoring 220 and 230s. Now we can see many students scoring 220, 225, 230 and 240 also. So it means that the number of students who are better prepared are increasing, which means that total ATS score increases. Now, if you move on to the MCQ section, was 2024 difficult than 23? I would say slightly yes. the cutoff was justified 35 marks. But was 2025 very difficult and 24? I would say no, it was not very difficult. I don't see there could be a reason why the cutoff went so, why there was so much of difference. There is one thing that a lot of you are missing, that in 2024 in the MCQ section, 4 bonus marks was allotted to all the students, because there was one question which was discarded, and hence, so ideally speaking, the cutoff should have been 31. So 31 and 28, it's just matter of 3 marks, maybe one odd question, that's it, not more. So 2024 and 25, the paper pattern of MCQ section was more or less similar. VA, as you can see, even though in verbal ability, the there was one extra reading comprehension, there were 3 reading comprehension as compared to 2 reading comprehension, which historically it used to be. Even though the cutoff of VA section remained same for 113, it just came down to 112 and nothing else. Okay, so on the VA section, okay, so even though there was one reading comprehension extra, which ideally would have taken more time of the student in solving, reading and solving, the cutoff remained the same. What does that indicate? What does that mean? A lot of students were not very comfortable with the vocabulary based question, which IPMAT Indore used to do historically, and they used to lose mark in those phrasal verbs and vocabulary based question. Now, because there was reading comprehension, it became maybe not all 6 questions, maybe students were able to solve at least 2 or 3 questions, so would have balanced out the vocabulary and the that is what we can guess, that is what we can analyze from the performance of the student in the mock test and in the actual exam. Okay, moving on, we look at the final selection now. Is it sufficient to clear the sectional cutoff for a PI call? Absolute a big no. It is absolutely not sufficient to just clear the sectional cutoff for the PI. Why it is not sufficient? It is sufficient to have to get a PI call, but it is not sufficient for the final selection, because the final selection is based on 2 parameters, ATS score and the personal interview. And ATS score, which is the aptitude test score, it is not the raw score. It is not the raw score. There is a different formula which IIM Indore, they have a different formula for it. And I had made a video on what is ATS score and why it is important for getting an admission into IIM Indore. Here I have shared the video link with everyone. You, after this session, maybe you can have it's a small 8-minute video, just have and understand what is ATS score, and you will realize what I'm trying to say, that maybe if you simply clear the cutoff, you will get a PI call, but for the final selection, you will, your chances are almost negligible. Even in, there are very, very high chances, and we get the students every year, even with the score of 220, let's say a student might have ATS score of X, but the student with 215 might have a ATS score of more than X. Absolutely possible, because the way ATS score is calculated is quite different. It is not the total absolute score, it is something different. It is, the weightages are given to 3 sections, and there are a lot of calculation involved, and that's how it is calculated. Just have a look at what is ATS score, you will understand that it is not important to so let's say if let me take example of two section. If the cutoff in English section is 100 mark, and in the con section, let's say it is 40 mark, if you score 100 and 100 in English and 40 in con, you will score 140, or ATS will be 0. But let's say if someone has scored 111 and have scored 41, the ATS would be significantly higher. It would be, it won't be just 2 mark plus, it would be significantly higher number. Okay, and that's what you need to understand, that not clearing the cutoff, if you just score the cutoff, your ATS for that particular section will be 0, which means you will have to score significantly more than the cutoff to have a better ATS score in that particular section. Okay, so you need to have this clear understanding about what is ATS score and why ATS score is so important. Now, moving on to the QA prep plan. If you look at the QA section, every year I have been analyzing this paper since 2019, when the IPMAT Indore have started releasing the question paper. Every year it is very much possible to clear the cutoff by attempting all the easy question and maybe around 2 to 3 moderate level questions. You'll always find a mix of easy, moderate, and advanced difficult level of question in IPMAT Indore. Yes, they will test the moderate and the advanced level question will have the multiple concept application where you will have question where time, speed, distance, and geometry is involved. There will be question where inequality and logarithm is there. So always there will be a mixture in AP and GP. There will be logarithm. There will be they probably in logarithm there will be trigonometry. So multiple concepts they test you upon, but those are generally in my observation where there are 2 or 3 concept different chapters, different concepts coming together. Generally, except for 2024 one question, all other questions were straightforward and easy to solve. Question generally test the in-depth understanding of the questions, in-depth understanding of your concept basically. Okay. So for example, let me give an example here. There they will always ask you a question on simple interest and compound interest. IPMAT Indore always. And most of the time they will ask you from the very basic chapter, time, speed, and distance. Now, if you look at time, speed, and distance question, they won't be very straightforward. They will ask you very basic concept of average speed. You need to understand, you need to know what is the average speed. They'll ask you question on linear race. Linear race is nothing but as time, speed, distance. Okay, simple interest and compound interest. Basic simple interest, if you do it 3-4 times step by step, you will get the answer. Basic, but if you try to apply the formula, probably you will take a lot of time. Okay. Moving on. Then you need to develop an art. This is where this and the next part. Yeah, the next part. You need to understand and figure out what concept are used, because a lot of the time students don't figure out what concept are used. Okay, if there are multiple level question, it is very difficult for student to understand and figure out. And the most important thing, ABC strategy. I am sure by now everyone knows what is IMS ABC strategy. We have done it multiple times in the online webinar. It's there on the YouTube channel as well. I am sure you guys know what is IMS ABC strategy. It is abhi karo, baad mein karo, chhod do. And we have done a detailing of it, how to select the question based on whether they are type A, type B, or type C category. So this is one very important thing, art of leaving question. It's not about how many questions you attempt. It is always about how many questions you know that you are not going to solve and you're not going to waste time on that. It's all about that. All the aptitude exam which are difficult, it's all about how to leave you, whether you know whether to attempt this question or not to attempt this question. Okay, there will always be some questions, 30 to 40% of the questions which are lengthy, difficult, but anyways you should not be solving them. They act as a speed breaker. And you should not solve them. A lot of time a student practice only MCQ question because they always have questions which are MCQ based, right? Need to ensure that you are practicing short answer question as well. You need to practice short answer question as well. Okay. So if you say, let's say, you are practicing only MCQ, what happens is most of the time you get used to familiarize with, I need to eliminate the option and I need to get it done. That's what it keeps on happening. But when the options are not there, even if you get the right answer and options are not there, you are always in a double mind. You need to check whether I've done it right or wrong. And I don't want you to waste that time probably while you are in the exam, and hence practicing the short answer question before the exam is very important, is the key. Selective learning. You need to be smart enough to understand what you are good and what you are not good at. I am sure you attended the last session which I did last month on SIMTEST analysis, where we figure out how to do the SWOT analysis, figure out what you are good at, what you are not good at, and you need to ensure that you will select topics only that you are not good at least in the next 2-3 months. And then initially after the post-board examination, when you're closer to the exam, you should then start focusing on your strength areas. Calculated gamble in short answer section is must. It is a crime if you don't attempt all 15 questions in short answer section, because there is no negative. What if you attempt 6 questions, get all 6 correct? Okay, but 9, okay, those just don't mark random 9 questions. If it's a remainder theorem, generally, I am saying generally, okay, you will observe that the remainder to the particular question is either 1 or it is 1 minus the divisor. So just check what, maybe that's the only 2 things that you should be typing them. Let's say if it is a question based on percentages, okay, that when you look at the number, if you can figure out the numbers are good enough, just mark the number which are good percentages where the reciprocals are available. 1/10, that's 10%. 20 is 1 by 5, 25 is 1 by 4. So by the reciprocal, just try to mark that. Okay, if there's a PNG question, just try to figure out what are the options, numbers given. If the answer, all the numbers are multiple of 7, probably your answer will also be multiple of 7. So just try to have that calculated, maybe try to solve halfway and see if you're able to reach somewhere. Try to figure out what should be the kind of probably what should be the range of number. I'm not saying probably you will do all this thing only if you have exhausted all the question that you know, and if you still have 5 7 minutes left for the question that you don't know, only then you should do this, right? Very important. Even if you're solving a practice exercise, there should be a time bound practice. There should be a time bound practice. Allot 20 minutes for 6 questions, 7 questions, and see if you're able to solve. And even while you're solving those 6 questions in 20 minutes, don't solve those questions in the particular order 1 to 6. You, in those 20 minutes also, you do the selection which question you should be doing first. Your objective should be to maximize the marks in 20 minutes. Maybe if you have 15 minutes, 5 questions, 15 minutes. So depending upon, if you have 1 hour, take 40 questions, take 30 questions in 1 hour, and see if you are able to maximize this. Depending upon how much time you have, take that mini question and try to maximize the score in that much time is very crucial. Now, the most important thing, I think you would have, you would have seen this multiple times in my sessions earlier as well. But again, to reiterate, and for everyone who is attending it for the first time, if you see the topic which is on the left side, now these are the topics which will most probably will help you to clear the cutoff. You'll always see questions on arithmetic, simple interest, profit and loss, SICI, ratio proportion, averages, mixtures, time speed distance, time and work, numbers, linear and quadratic equation. You'll always find this question. Now, if you look at, there are 5 questions of data interpretation in MCQ section, which gives you 20 marks. And there are at least 5 to 7 more questions from the above mentioned topic. Let's say even you have 5 questions, so 40 marks. So it's there in your pocket. Even if you're thorough with every question type, easy, difficult, very difficult, of arithmetic, numbers, linear, quadratic, and DLR, cutoff is not going to be a big deal in MCQ and also in short answer in most of the cases. I'm saying most of the cases, not always. Okay. Now, if you want to boost your overall MCQ score and if you want to clear the short answer section, the topic which are there on the right side, which are, the one that you do generally in your 11th and 12th, coordinate geometry, trigonometry, matrices determinant, sequence series, functions, inequality graphs, modulus, logarithm, permutation, combination, probability, and binomial theorem are the topics which you should master. Immediately, I have a question. So I generally don't take question, but since it is related, let me take it. Is it necessary to solve all this chapter? I would say that first, don't give up right now. We are right now in the month of November. We have enough time. So try to focus on every chapter. If not, try to solve the basic conceptual question from every chapter, because I know in logarithm 2 times back to back here they had asked a very very basic and a simple question. It was using a simple rule of logarithm. The first definition of logarithm, log of a to the base m is n, so a is equal to m raised 2, and that was a concept which was supposed to use in logarithm. And if you know simply the basic rules and how to solve it, you can solve these questions in a jiffy. So having a knowledge of very basic and easy simple question is advisable. Okay. Now I'm not reading any chat. There are, so once I read a chat, 6 chat automatically came. I'll address all your queries at the end, guys. Okay. Yeah. So moving on. What I said, do every topic, give your best. Second, if let's say 1 or 2 topics you are finding it very difficult, you should be able to solve that particular topic. The basic level of question, you should be able to solve it. Otherwise, I would say that at least 80% of the topic from here you should be very comfortable with. Okay, if you want to have a very great high ATS score. Moving on to the prep plan for verbal ability. Now, verbal ability is no brainer. You need to solve everything. You need to practice everything, because they will ask you reading comprehension. They'll ask you grammar, phrasal verb, idioms, fill in the blank, vocabulary, para jumble, para composition, and they ask you everything. They ask you everything. So there's nothing that you can skip. And also, generally, as you saw, the verbal cutoff is very high. And I haven't come across a student who have attempted less than 35 question in a verbal ability section. Generally, students tend to attend, in the range of 37 to 40, 37 to 41 is a range which is I would say majority of the bell curve will peak in that range 37 to 41 attempt. There are students who attempt 45 also, and genuine 45 student, because there are students who score 165, 170, 175 in the verbal ability also, right? And at the same time, if this, in the lower range of 34 and 35 question, probably you will find 5 to 10% of good student attempting those questions. I mean, there are students may attempt 25 questions also, but I'm saying, talking about good student attempting only 35, that is 140 marks, and clearing the cutoff, scoring around 118 to 120 odd marks. That's 5 to 10% of students would be attempting that many number of questions. Verbal is always a game changer. If you look at the ATS video, you will figure out that higher the verbal score helps you to have the higher ATS marks, and hence your verbal score need to be as high as possible. It is obviously, that's why we have written, it is high scoring, and it is a test of speed. Quant, you need patience, you have ample of time. But verbal, it has to, you have to start attempting question from the minute you start the paper. You can't relax. 45 questions to be attempted in just 40 minutes. So speed and accuracy, right? Now, if we talk about the overall prep plan, you need to focus on the area which are more relevant from the exam point of view. For example, uh, if I talk about logical reasoning, it is hardly tested in IPMAT Indore. So if you are aiming at Indore, maybe that is something that you should not be focusing a lot on. A poetry type question which are tested in symbiosis and in CUET, you should not be touching while you're preparing for IPMAT Indore. Okay, so the question, the area, and maybe topic. Let's say binomial theorem. In last 2019 till 2025, there was only once they had tested question on binomial theorem. Maybe if you are not well versed with binomial theorems, keep that binomial theorem. Maybe keep for the end. Solve the area which are more relevant. So, for example, if I go here again, coordinate geometry, trigonometry, sequence and series, functions, graph, logarithm, permutation probability are the 6 topics which are always tested. From the 6 topics, you can easily assume to have around 15 plus questions from the 6 topics out of the both the 45, both the section 45 questions put together. Okay. Practice advanced level concept which is tested in IPMAT Indore, that I am sure all those who are attending are using a purple color book. After every 2 or 3 chapters, there are IPMAT Indore level chapters which are interspaced. So you need to solve them. There is a class exercise, there is a practice exercise. For all the class and practice exercise, we have also have a video solution. In case you are not able to solve those difficult questions, you can refer to the video solution and get your doubts cleared by yourself. Take IMS Sim IPMAT Indore test. Last month we conducted the proctored one. We already have the 4 take-home paper available. In this month, there is going to be another IPMAT Indore proctored examination. Take that. And the most important thing, you need to analyze it. If you are not able to analyze it thoroughly, it is, a problem. If you are not able to analyze, uh, trust me, there are 20 sim IPMAT Indore mocks. If you write 15, but you analyze 15, that's the game. There is no point in writing 20 and not analyzing more than 5. Okay, and how to effectively analyze, I have done a session last month after the sim IPMAT Indore exam. If you didn't attend it, and if you have not watched the video on YouTube, here is that video, how to analyze sim IPMAT Indore. I have just shared the relevant links on the chat window. So after the session, maybe you can watch this video as well. Okay. uh Focused on weak area to maximize your score. A lot of time what student does is they only focus on what they know and they run away from what they don't know. As I said earlier, November, December, January is a time where you should have, you should be sitting down, maybe take 1 week, and solve every possible question that can be tested from that particular topic where you are weak at. Let's say you start with functions and inequality, function inequality graph. This 1 week you are doing maths, you are doing every subject, but in maths you will be doing only and only function inequality graph every day, 2 hours, 10 to 12 hours of function inequality graph. Trust me, you would cover everything that can be tested in the examination. Similarly, and I'm sure there won't be more than 5, 6 topics which you are weak at. So probably 5 to 6 weeks, 1.5 month, maximum 2 months, and I think you should be thorough with those weak topics. So this is the time that you should work on weak topic, not only in maths, not only in con, but also in verbal ability. If you feel that your reading comprehension is a problem, then start reading every day 2 or 3 articles from various websites, which is Aeon or it is AEON or New York Times or maybe New York Times or maybe Indian Express editorials. Start reading good articles from various blogs, and you can improve your not only reading skills, reading speed, but also the understanding skill. It's not important to read the entire passage in 3 minutes and you are not able to remember what you have read. So you also need to understand, improve your reading speed. If your speed is not great, if your understanding skill is not great, next 2 months work on your reading skills and understanding skills. If you feel that you are not good at vocabulary, phrasal verbs, idioms, we have a list vocabulary book. I know it is very exhaustive, but then there is no shortcut to vocabulary. Okay, that book also has phrasal verbs, the idioms. Okay, idiom and phrasal verb has been tested in various mocks. It's there in part of our courseware also. Phrasal verb is an endless thing. It's a usage. So you need to ensure that you are dealing with the topics that you are not good at in the next 2 to 3 months, November, December, and January. Solve past year IPMAT. The last 3 year IPMAT Indore paper is must to be solved. Not right now. When you are thoroughly prepared in the month of April, last 15 days, you should be solving those three IPMAT paper. Not right now. Don't waste paper because those are the actual paper. You will get a confidence if you score good mark in that paper. Okay. Now the prep plan for the test strategy. We discussed already for QA section, the only strategy that is going to work in the IPMAT Indore is ABC strategy. Now this ABC strategy will not effectively work in any other exam because all the exam are speed based. IPMAT Indore is not a speed based. You have ample of time to solve and get the cutoff cleared. Okay. Speed versus accuracy, you need to have a quite balance. When I say that your accuracy should be good, does not mean that you attempt out of 90 question you attempt 20 question and get all 20 correct. That is foolish. I'm sure you are mature enough to understand what I'm trying to say. VA section is a game changer. Very, very important, a ballpark figure. Lot of students keep on asking this question. You need to attempt around 50 to 70% of the question in a QA section, which means out of 30, around 15 question is must. So you can clear the cutoff even by attempting what? 8 questions, because 8 4s are 32. But we talk about exam, maybe you can go 1 or 2 questions wrong. We talking about the ATS score where your score needs to be as high as possible. So around 15 to 17 questions in MCQ should be your target. In short answer, around 7 to 8, 7 to 9, 7 to 10 odd questions should be your target. Because if you attempt 7 question and if you go 2 wrong, you are at 20 marks. Right? So you don't want that uncertainty where you have made one silly mistake and you have got wrong. So you need to ensure that you are attempting around 8 to 10 questions in short answer and around 15 to 17 at least in MCQ. I'm again saying you can still attempt lesser. So don't give up your hope that I'm not able to score 15 to 17 right now. I'm talking about the exam day. Your objective should be to go from maybe your 10, 12 to 15, 17 in 6 months. That is what you need to plan for. Okay. Around 85 to 90% of the questions in verbal ability section. So if I talk about 90% out of 45, probably we are talking about what 40 odd questions, and 85 would be around 36, 37. That's what I said in initially. 38 to 41 is a ballpark figure where majority of the students who score good marks in English attempt that many number of questions. Okay. So at least 10 to 15 IPMAT Indore, though we provide 20 IPMAT Indore, and we want you to solve all 20 IPMAT Indore mock test, but with proper analysis. And hence I have given a slightly lesser number so that you don't just chase writing the IPMAT Indore mock and focused on analyzing and improvising on your mistakes. Very, very important. Just don't stick to one strategy. If I have told you one strategy, if you tried that strategy for 2 months and if it's not working, try something else. Keep on trying something else till the time you don't find the strategy that is working for you. Okay. There are various strategies to attempt the paper. We will do that. How to attempt. Once I did a small bit of it when I did the analysis session of the last IPMAT Indore. This time we will deep dive into how you could have attempted the same IPMAT Indore after that exam gets over. I think I've told 4 to 5 times till now that analysis is going to be the key. You have to analyze it, and that's the most important thing. Now, I am sure a lot of you want to understand this month-wise. Nothing great, but no brainer in this, no brainer actually. Okay, it's just what I've said. Every day, 1.5 to 3 hours, November, December. I am sure you guys will have free boards and tuition exams and various things. But guys, you need to understand. You know, sorry for someone. I am going to say Bollywood dialogue. कुछ खोने के लिए कुछ पाना पड़ता है. So, to earn something, you need to, let go of something. Let go of your probably socializing time, your screen time, maybe. Okay. So you need to figure out how can you spend 1.5 to 3 hours depending upon your comfortness in the preparation stage. Okay, that's bare minimum I'm talking about. More the barrier. This is the bare minimum I'm talking about. By December, I would expect you should be thorough with all the topics. Obviously, someone who have joined recently, 2 months, 3 months back, probably maybe December may not be the ideal time, but then for majority of the students I know who have joined IMS last year, maybe in the month of this year, Jan, Feb, March, April, May, I'm sure your syllabus would be on the verge of getting completed or will get completed by November, December. Ensure that this is, you're thorough with all. Concept clarity should be there. Okay. Maybe for a few topics, application is still pending, but that can be tackled. One mock per month is mandatory. Okay, that's why we have released take home mock in the month of May itself, so that all those students who joined last year can start writing mock. So November there is proctored, December there is proctored, January there will be take home, though there will be a lot of take home papers as well. So you need to ensure that one mock you're writing at least per month. Jan to Feb, maybe not the entire Feb, by first, second week of Feb, depending upon when your boards are starting. Everyone is a different board. At least read or solve IPMAT Indore curriculum for 1 hour a day. I don't want you to forget concepts, and when you come back in the month of March, it's everything, you have forgotten. Okay. I don't want you to leave in that, what do you say, a hunky dory world where, everything, you find it's good. Where even, after you return after 2 months, you will remember everything. That doesn't happen. You will probably spend 15 days, 2 to 3 weeks in the month of March, April, whenever you come back to again get used to solving IPMAT Indore. And hence the reason, maybe if not 1 hour, even if you're able to solve 30 minutes, give 30 minutes. Whatever you can spend, do that. Okay. Post board, very important. 2 to 3 mocks per week लिखना जरूरी है. It's mandatory. Okay, so if this time you only have 5 weeks before your IPMAT exam, we are talking about around 12 to 13 mocks, like 10 to 15 mocks, 2 to 3 every day, 10 to 15 mocks. So if you have solved around 5 to 6 mocks right now, 10 to 15 mocks after the board exam, I think you should be able to ace it. Okay. Very, very crucial. Don't miss attending the masterclass and the last mile session. Students have given wonderful feedback in last 3 years about the masterclass question that we have collected, and made the books that we have made on masterclass, last minute revision book. And don't forget to solve masterclass book and attend live last mile session basically. Okay, that's it from my end. All the best to everyone.